Twice in the last 3 years, the Giants have been crowned World Series champions, and they appear primed for another postseason visit. The Cubs, meanwhile, building from the ground up with exciting young talent. Those two teams collide today in Chicago. And yes, springtime in the Windy City. As advertised, we had snow here earlier this morning. And they are bundled up for the third game of this four-game series. A Giants in town to battle the Cubs. And hi again, everybody. Alongside the Hall of Famer Tim McCarver, I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome to Baseball on Fox. Well, these Giants, they picked right up where they left off from last year. Clearly a franchise that is built around great pitching, and we get a look at one of those youngsters today in Madison Bumgarner.
One of the great matchups in the young season with Madison Bumgarner, who has already won 38 regular season games for the Giants. He's not even 24 years old. In fact, he's won World Series games. He won one back in 2010, one last year against the Tigers. The only other pitcher in the history of baseball to win World Series games in two different World Series before the age of 24, Babe Ruth. Not bad.
I think we've heard of that guy before.
Yes.
Meanwhile, for the Cubs, they remember the Bambino. This is a franchise, Timmy, that clearly is trying to get this thing turned around. And one guy they appear to be able to count on is getting the ball for them today in Jeff Samardzija.
A guy who was in the bullpen only 2 years ago. Last year he developed as a starter, and this guy's one of the real horses in the National League, Jeff Samardzija.
Looking forward to seeing this matchup today. We hope you are as well. The hitters say don't forget about us. Both teams carrying big lumber. The Giants and the Cubs next. You're watching Baseball on Fox. Snow earlier this morning, nothing that accumulated. But Timmy, you were here. We looked outside the television truck just outside of Wrigley Field and couldn't believe our eyes. And I would imagine Jeff Samardzija, who grew up in nearby Northwest Indiana, says ho hum, no big deal.
He's ready to don the pads as he did for Notre Dame as a wide receiver. And I mean a good one, not just a so-so. player, but he's taken that same football mentality as a pitcher in the starting rotation for the Cubs this year.
Let's take a look at the lineup that he'll be facing for the Giants. Brought to you by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. Gregor Blanco will lead off in left. Marcos Scudero at second. Pablo Sandoval down at third. Cleanup hitter Buster Posey. Hunter Pence in right. Brandon Belt at first. A latter third of Andres Torres playing in place of Angel Pagan, who's bothered with a tender wrist. Brandon Crawford at short. Madison Bumgarner trying to go to 3-0 on the mound. But it'll be a tall order against this talented right-hander Jeff Samardzija. You see the numbers. Punched out 13 in his last start in a little better than 5 innings against Atlanta. They figure his upside as high as it gets.
Off that brilliant outing, that was last Sunday. You think about that outing. He recorded 17 outs against Atlanta, and 13 of them were strikeouts. No Cub pitcher has ever done that, struck out that many in less than 6 innings. Jeff Samardzija, 2-seam fastball, 4-seam fastball, that's his hardest one. And his put-away pitch with 2 strikes, the split-finger fastball.
Take a look at the defense behind him for the Cubs, brought to you by Scott's, the official lawn care company of Major League Baseball. Dave Chappelle, the youngster, getting the nod in center, flanked by Alfonso Soriano and Scott Hairston. Lillibridge and Castro on the left side. Alberto Gonzalez for the injured Darwin Barney at second. And Anthony Rizzo at first. A battery of Samardzija and Wellington Castillo. Our opening pitch brought to you by Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. Great times are waiting. Grab some Buds. Well, this cold weather certainly has kept many at home rather than inside of Wrigley Field on the corner of Clark and Addison. First pitch up and away to Gregor Blanco, and we're underway. Blanco's been sharing time out in left field for the Giants, as he will do throughout the year with Andres Torres. A ball and a strike.
Andres Torres in the game today because Angel Pagan a little banged up on the final play of the game yesterday when Starlin Castro hit the double to center field, driving in the winning run as the Cubs won 4-3.
Fastball just off the outside corner. 2-1 to Blanco. Jimmy mentioned Samardzija, a first-team All-American wide receiver for the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. Brady Quinn, his quarterback back in those days. And really had come to the crossroads playing both sports at Notre Dame as to which one he would elect to play professionally. And after the Cubs gave him a guaranteed Major League contract, that made the decision rather easy. Pull to the right side, and Gonzalez will throw out Blanco for the game's first out. Only 2 active managers, Jim Leyland and Dusty Baker, have won more games than Bruce Bochy, but of course he is the only one that can say in 2 of the last 3 years he's come away as a world champion.
That was his second and third time in the World Series. He was also the manager of the San Diego Padres back in 1998 when they were swept by the Yankees. His 19th year as a major league manager, and I mean one of the best around.
Marcos Scudero, a big reason why the Giants went through a truly extraordinary postseason. When you go back and you look at it, Timmy, you had a chance to see the LCS in the World Series. Even Bruce Bochy was saying today before the game, you go back to the series win over Cincinnati when they were down 2-0 going to Great American Ballpark, where that Reds team had not lost 3 in a row all year. He said the game more than any other in the playoffs that stands out for him was the Game 3 2-1 win to keep that series alive.
Sure.
Where the Giants struck out 16 times in the game and won the game.
Remarkable. Prior to that game and handing the lineup cards to Dusty Baker, Bruce said, we haven't done real well in that low-key style of his. We haven't done too well up to now, Dusty.
Castro will throw out Scooter 0-2 away.
But today we'll try to do a little better. And they not only did a little better, they won after being down 2-0. Then they beat the Cardinals after being down 3-1, and then swept the Detroit Tigers to win their last 7 postseason games last year. Just a remarkable feat for this ball club.
Yes, whether it's a headgear or the mittens for Kung Fu Panda, as he's affectionately known by the Giant faithful, the nickname to one Pablo Sandoval. Have you seen the movie Kung Fu Panda?
I have not. No, no, it was not on my list. I'll tell you what is on my list: 42.
Yeah.
That premiered yesterday nationally. The story, of course, about number 42 for the Brooklyn Dodgers. Back in 1947, the great Jackie Robinson.
And the only jersey number retired by every major league team. Fly ball into right center. It will be a perfect opening frame for Jeff Samardzija. The Cubbies come to bat against Madison Bumgarner when we return. Lineup brought to you by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss under manager Dale Swain, Dave Chappelle, Starlin Castro, Anthony Rizzo, Alfonso Soriano, Scott Hairston, and Wellington Castillo swinging a hot bat to begin this year doing the catching. Brent Lillibridge at third, Alberto Gonzalez at second, Jeff Samardzija on the mound. Madison Bumgarner, 2 starts, 2-0 record, 2 runs in 13 2/3 innings.
One of the real fine young pitchers in the game, and he has been since roaring through the minors. He was 26-3 in the minor leagues for the Giants. Big game pitcher at 23. He is all of that. And that arm angle, very, very important. We'll talk about it as the game progresses.
A native Tar Heel is Madison Bumgarner. South Caldwell High School in Hudson, North Carolina. A first-round pick, 10th overall by the Giants in 2007. Dave Chappelle, the highly touted young player coming up through the Cincinnati organization, came over last year for left-handed reliever Sean Marshall. And another player in that deal will be joining us inside our telecast from the Cub dugout a little bit later on, left-hander Travis Wood.
Seems like Bumgarner could have been a football player just like Jeff Lamar.
Pick some margin.
Yeah, right.
He is the only player on either team not wearing long sleeves underneath his Giant jersey today. Try to get Sapelt to chase up. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Tom, you talked about Bumgarner being from North Carolina. He's from a town of 4,000 people, and there are over 100 Bumgarners in the little town of 4,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Base hit center field by Sapelt.
At 1-2 count, trying to finish off Sapelt. A little too much of the plate, and Sapelt delivers. Leadoff runner on for the Cubs.
Giants took the lead in the top of the 9th inning here yesterday. And then the Cubs rallied to win in the bottom of the 9th inning, beating the Giant closer Sergio Romo. And the game-winning hit delivered by another talented youngster, and that's Starlin Castro. My, oh my, what a start to his career. Became the first Cub since Sammy Sosa back in '95 to knock in 75 or more, steal 25 or more last year. And already 529 hits, all before the age of 24 years old. Double play ball here. 2 gone in the inning. Now we understand the Giants made another change in their lineup. Blanco was scheduled to play left field all along today, and we told you that Angel Pagan bothered by a tender right wrist. So Andres Torres took his spot in the lineup, but they have flip-flopped those two from where they were originally penciled in defensively.
There aren't too many left fielders in the games today that can switch to center field. But after Blanco's defensive World Series last year, it's easy to see Bruce Bochy's thinking. He was a defensive highlight reel for the Giants against Detroit last year.
2 down, and here's Anthony Rizzo. 0-1 pitch popped up and playable for the shortstop Crawford, and that's all in the Chicago opening inning. Buster Posey, the reigning National League's most valuable player, will begin things in the Giants' second of a scoreless game. Go further. Ran by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. Back with Tim McCarver, our producer Jeff Cowan, our director Jim Lynch, and our entire crew. Tom Brenneman, glad to have you with us. And looky here, the sun is shining in Chicago.
I don't believe it.
Crowd facetiously cheering the appearance of the sunshine on what has been a frigid and what is a very chilly early afternoon. Buster Posey slow to get started. You know that'll change. Still looking for his first home run in this young season. Has 4 runs batted in. But certainly Buster Posey has become the very face of this Giants franchise. Jam shot roller at Gonzalez. 4 in a row retired by Samardzija, which leads us to our Ford go further keys to the game.
We talked about it in the opening. One of the great matchups in the young season, and starting pitching certainly the story today was Samardzija and Bumgarner.
Tim brought up earlier the transition to being a full-time starting pitcher a year ago as Hunter Pence, who celebrates his 30th birthday today, looks at a strike. Samardzija originally brought up, worked out of the bullpen in all or parts of his first 4 major league seasons going back to 2008. But you know, he still gives so much credit to his former manager Lou Piniella and the pitching coach Larry Rothschild. Samardzija said, I was getting ready to be sent back to the minor leagues. He said 3 days in a row before sending me down to the minors, Lou Piniella and Larry Rothschild came to the ballpark with him at 7:30 in the morning, 3 days in a row during the year, to work on a few things mechanically. They wanted to see him change with the hope that one day he'd come back and be a dominant starting pitcher. And he looks back on those days. He says, look, Lou Piniella didn't have to do that for me, nor did Larry Rothschild, or for that matter, the general manager, no longer here, Jim Hendry, who gave them a lot of the credit. That soft liner will fall in a base hit.
Fastball inside from Samardzija, and Hunter Pence with the first Giant hit of the afternoon. Jammed on the pitch. That's the best time to jam a hitter, is with 2 strikes. Hunter Pence strong enough to get it to the outfield. Yeah, Lou Piniella now a broadcaster for the New York Yankees. Larry Rothschild, of course, the fine pitching coach for the Yankees. And Joe Girardi, by the way, the Yankees have won 3 in a row.
I made it number 4 last night.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
They've been battling weather issues. Of course, a lot of places have been battling some of the weather issues during this entire week. Thankfully, we're dry. Hopefully, Mother Nature's in a pretty good mood this morning, and she'll keep it that way. Brandon Belt fooled badly on the off-speed pitch there.
Baseball fans in the Bay Area know that the Oakland Athletics, the hottest team in baseball. Speaking of other teams, they lost their first 2 games of the year, and since then have won 9 in a row. And the Atlanta Braves 9-1.
They've won 7 straight.
Right.
Of course, that Oakland Athletics team across the bay from San Francisco on the final day of the season last year won the American League West. Bob Melvin has done an outstanding job as the A's manager.
Splendid.
2-2 on Belt. Of course, the real story in that American League West, the woes of the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Free agent big spenders once again. All the talk in Los Angeles and all the way down to Anaheim about baseball in Southern California. They began the year winning on opening day in Cincinnati, only to lose the next 2 games there, and they have won just 1 time since.
Man.
And that was here on Fox last Saturday, beating the Texas Rangers.
Last year, a slow start by Albert Pujols. This year, a slow start by Josh Hamilton.
And I don't know if you saw that final play of the game yesterday. I mean, you talk about adding insult to injury. You're down. Hamilton, the runner at first, on a pop-up into foul ground. Didn't realize how many outs there were. He just kept running. He was standing at third and doubled up on a foul ball. 2-2 on Belt. Runner at first, 1 out. In the air. Alfonso Soriano waves off Sapelt. 2 away here in the Giants' second. Time for the Ace Helpful Hardware Player Profile. Brought to you by Ace, the helpful place. Jeff Samardzija. Talk about piling up the strikeouts. In 2 starts, has 22 of them so far. Of course, that's right on schedule for him, going back to when he became a starter last year. And we brought up the 13 strikeouts in just 5 2/3, most ever by a Cub pitcher. Tim told you earlier, in less than 6 full innings of work.
And he lost the game.
Yeah.
Obviously through no fault of his. Can't control that, how many runs a team scores for you. Not unless you're Clayton Kershaw, as he did his first outing, pitched a shutout and a home run in the 8th inning.
To beat the Giants.
Yeah.
Swung on and fouled out of play by Torres. Runner on the move there.
That's the only time the Giants have been shut out this year.
And they've thrown 3 of their own.
Nice hair.
Both of them. They obviously, as a couple, got the discount. 2-1 to Torres. Have you and Joe Buck ever thought about going down that road right there? You know, you guys have been together so long, for crying out loud. A little orange hair, summertime look. No?
We talked about highlighting our hair several times.
Yeah. We could all use a little work there. There we go. Now I could see Mike Krukow and Dwayne Kuiper going.
Oh yeah, Mike and Crook. We saw them in Bruce Bochy's office earlier. Nah, I don't know.
Oh, they're fun guys.
They really are. They really are.
Part of a great Giant broadcast team. Dave Fleming, John Miller, also part of that group, and our friends at Cubs here. We saw Pat Hughes and Keith Moreland earlier today. 3-2. The runner will be off. And Samardzija delivers. Struck him out. Wow. 3-2 breaking ball, and that's all. Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. Bottom of the second inning we go at Wrigley Field in Chicago, celebrating its 99th year. Oh, what an anniversary it's going to be, looking ahead to number 100. And there's ball one to Alfonso Soriano, and of course dominating the news here locally. All the talk about a deal allegedly on the verge of getting done, in the making for quite some time, between the Cubs and the city of Chicago, and a major renovation to this ballpark, upwards of $500 million you're talking about. Soriano shoots one into right. That'll fall in a hit. Pence able to cut it off, and he'll hold Soriano to a leadoff single, and the ball gets through. And Soriano will go to second base, as that went right by both the second baseman and the shortstop on a throw by Pence. That'll be a single and an error.
Well, you can say there's an excuse for the overthrow by Hunter Pence, hurrying the throw, and it's actually to the left of Crawford, but either the left fielder or the third baseman has got to be backing up that play as a matter of routine. It may be that 100 times you do that, throw it wildly, and 99 times no harm done, but the one time it does not look good for a good defensive team like the Giants. Baseball's a routine play. This ball hit down the right field line, and you can understand Hunter Pence in his haste to make a good throw to second, an errant throw, and Crawford can't get to it, but either Sandoval or the left fielder Andres Torres has got to be backing up that play.
So now Scott Hairston swings and fouls it over the screen. A ball and a strike on Hairston, who grew up in Chicago, went to Naperville North High School, used to come to games as a young man here at Wrigley. Of course, his father, Jerry Hairston, played in the big leagues. His grandfather played in the big leagues. He had a brother, Jerry Hairston Jr., played in the big leagues a long time. And Hairston is wearing the number of one of the guys he used to come here and watch, the great Sammy Sosa. Swinging a foul tip into the mid of Posey, and it's 1-2. Boy, how many times did we see number 21 go sprinting into the outfield, waving to all his fans out in right field here in Chicago? The great 98 year where Sosa and McGuire were battling it out for the single season home run record. And Hairston hit with a pitch. Well, the defense behind Bumgarner, brought to you by Scott's, the official lawn care company of Major League Baseball. We told you about the flip-flop, Torres and Blanco. Pence out and right. Regular group along the infield. Bumgarner and Posey the battery.
Scott Hairston hit by the pitch. Interestingly, his brother Jerry, the only regular player who was suspended in that recent fight, Carlos Quentin of the San Diego Padres, and he was hit by Zach Greinke.
Look out. And thankfully no one hit with that bat.
Carlos Quentin went out to the mound after he was hit on a 3-2 pitch and wrestled Greinke to the ground and ended up breaking his collarbone, his left collarbone. He's going to miss about 6 weeks. But Scott Hairston's brother, Jerry, the only regular player that was suspended in that game. That was a nasty happening in San Diego.
Of course, there had been bad blood between Greinke and Carlos Quentin going back to their days in the American League.
Yep.
Quentin has been hit by pitches more than any other player in all of baseball since he came up originally with Arizona. Quentin had some very good years, one great year on the south side of Chicago Runners go. Swing and a miss. Throw down to third. And how about that? That's a trick from the old Roger Craig school of managing, where there's something out of the ordinary that happens in the game, and on the very next pitch you try and make the other team lulled to sleep.
A lot of managers will, for instance, put a squeeze on after one of those happenings. But that fastball in off the plate, a swing and a miss by Wellington Castillo. And Soriano off with the pitch and just in there at third base. Buster Posey had no chance to get Soriano.
So now runners at second and third, nobody out. Chased a bad ball, 1 out. Let's go back to Thursday night out in San Diego. Greinke hits Quentin. Looked like Greinke said something as Quentin started to come out, leading to the broken collarbone. Apparently Matt Kemp was looking for Quentin afterwards. I don't care who you are, you better be careful if you're looking for Carlos Quentin. And Don Mattingly saying Quentin shouldn't play a game until Greinke throws another pitch.
And you might take that line of thinking until you read about what Paul Konerko had to say. Paul Konerko, an ex-teammate of Carlos Quentin, and the White Sox playing in a game last night. And you know, when Paul Konerko makes a comment, that's somebody that you pay attention to.
Yes.
He's a guy that is as respected as anybody in the game, the captain of the South Side White Sox here in Chicago.
He's been a great player for a long time and captain of the White Sox. And here were the comments he made. Well, if you run out there and you break your collarbone, that's part of the game. If Greinke lets one go, breaks Carlos' hands, they would just say, hey, that one got away. That's part of the game. Well, you know, throwing up there time and time again and having, you know, somebody, we'll bring you the rest of his comments here in a moment, break your collarbone, he says it's part of the game.
It was a very well thought out comment by Paul, who, again, used to be a teammate of Carlos Quentin with the White Sox.
Well, the Cubs have been brutal the early part of this season, batting with runners in scoring position, just 162. They were worst in this category in all of baseball last year. And here a strikeout. And now Brent Lillibridge, another former teammate of Carlos Quentin's, in a 1-2 hole.
This is a good move by Bruce Bochy. You're pulling your infield in about halfway because there's 1 out. You take a chance with 1 out, not with no outs. With no outs, the infield was back. With 1 out, and Lillibridge only 1 for 21 on the year, you take advantage of that also.
Sandoval, Crawford, Scudero, Belt, all drawn in. One now the 2-2 struck him out. 2 away in the inning. We check in with our good friend Matt Vasgersian at the MLB Network studios for a game break.
Tommy, the 9-1 Braves underway in D.C. Steven Strasburg coming off a clunker last time around, off to a good start this afternoon. He strikes out the Major League's home run leader. Hey, Tim Hudson off to a good start himself. He gets Bryce Harper early. Nats and Braves scoreless in the second. We'll keep you posted out in D.C. For now, back to Tom and Tim.
Great matchup there. The Braves and the Nationals. Hudson v. Strasburg. Now the infield backs up with 2 away, and the number 8 hole hitter up there, Alberto Gonzalez, ball 1. This is where Bumgarner, the early part of this year, has already gotten down to serious business. With runners in scoring position, the opposition, including these last 2 batters, 1 out of 9 with 6 strikeouts. Soriano began the inning with a single, went to second on an error, and now on a 2-0 count, they're going to intentionally walk Gonzalez and take their chances with Samardzija.
They tried to get Gonzalez to hit one of the first 2 pitches. Both were up and away. So Bruce Bochy decided we'll just put him on. Jeff Samardzija is not only 0 for 5, but he's struck out 4 times of his 5 at-bats.
It's always such an interesting decision and how it varies, obviously by situation, where you are in the game, where you are an opponent, but just how you deal with the number 8 hitter in the lineup, watching baseball day in and day out.
In the National League.
Yeah, of course.
And it's one of the fascinating things about the National League, because that 8th place hitter, there's so much that revolves around pitching around him in a situation like that, and whether to get to the pitcher. Bochy elects to get to the pitcher.
Soriano was standing there with nobody out. Hairston was standing there with nobody out. And after strikeouts against Castillo and Lillibridge, Bumgarner intentionally passes Gonzalez, and ahead of the pitcher 0-1. One ball and 1 strike to Jeff Samardzija. Slow roll to short. Crawford will throw out the pitcher, and that's all. Cubs leave them loaded and miss a big scoring chance. We're back after a word from your local Fox station. Three great matchups. Miguel Cabrera and the Tigers take on Mike Trout of the Angels. Some will see the Twins come to the south side to battle the White Sox. Others see the Nationals and the Mets. Fox Saturday Baseball presented by Chevrolet returns next week at 2:30 Eastern Time. Oh yes, she looked to the sky, and lo and behold, the sunshine. But don't be misled. It's not warming up.
This is Chicago, and its weather is different.
They're talking about it reaching 70+ degrees here tomorrow. And yet we begin wind chill in the high 20s for this Saturday afternoon game. Scoreless in the third. Brandon Crawford behind 0-2. One hit so far for the Giants, 1 strikeout for Samardzija. He's not walked about it.
Talked about that being his put away pitch earlier in the game. That's that splitter. It's one of the best and hardest thrown in the National League. That's a get away from my plate fastball right there. Then he'll probably go back to his splitter. Every pitch is not designed to get you out. That one designed to push him back, to come back to get him out.
And they go soft away to get him out. Second straight strikeout for Samardzija. Fox Sports is proud to team with Feeding America, a nationwide network of food banks. It helps feed more than 37 million people in America each year through pantries, soup kitchens, and shelters. Visit feedingamerica.org/Fox Sports to learn how you can help fight hunger in your community. Together, we're feeding America. Now, Bumgarner. One for three as a batter with a run batted in so far this year. The Cubs had one loss shy of 100 last year, the only team to lose more games, ironically enough, inside their own division, preventing them from finishing last, the Houston Astros. But Samardzija, his first season as a starter in the big leagues, tied for the team lead with 9 wins. Showed you he averaged more than 9 strikeouts per 9 innings. And 17 of his starts defined as quality starts, 6 or more innings, 3 runs or less.
Well, if a Cub pitcher gets anywhere near the 500 mark, that would be considered a good year, because this team is just simply not going to score enough runs for a pitcher to have a decent year well over 500.
They appeal and no. Case in point, yesterday they got an outstanding start yesterday. In fact, I'm not sure you can pitch any better than Villanueva did yesterday, and yet a no decision on a game he should have won. They had to win it in the bottom of the 9th inning.
Fujikawa blowing the save, ended up with the win, and he is on the disabled list now. After yesterday's game, right forearm tenderness, and then inexplicably Samardzija walks the opposing pitcher.
Timmy, I want to ask you, you were a catcher for spanning 4 decades in the major leagues. When you have a pitcher up there with 1 out and nobody on in the 3rd inning, and you throw 2-2 breaking ball and 3-2 breaking ball,
I was thinking the same thing. 3-2 slider. If you miss with a fastball, that's one thing. I mean, we saw the first swing Bumgarner had, that pardon me, excuse me swing. But if you can't make the, Samardzija's only in his 2nd year as a starter, but something like that, you just can't, you can't do that. 2-2 breaking ball, 3-2 breaking ball with the opposing pitcher. If you do that, you better strike him out. Can't be out of the strike zone.
And you brought many young pitchers along in your career, and I would imagine that's something you have seen a time or two, and you try to make those young pitchers understand the next time, hey, look, a little different here.
And you know what? Older pitchers brought me along also and taught me things like that.
Pitcher takes off, throw down to second, and Bumgarner is out at second base. Pitch had got away from Samardzija, and Castillo at least able to knock it down, if nothing else, with his glove.
That was a good play by Castillo. Ball way outside, hitting the heel of his glove, recovering in time to get Madison Bumgarner. You hate to see your starting pitcher and a guy as valuable like that try to go on a pass ball or a wild pitch and try to take an extra base.
Blanco brings it with him, and unable to handle it in a hurry was Rizzo. I'm not sure if he fields it cleanly. He gets Blanco anyway. That's a bunt hit for the Giants center fielder.
Something that Blanco couldn't do with the pitcher on at first base. But he does it after Castillo made the play, and a good play at second base.
Well, they gave Rizzo an error on that play. I'm not sure if he fields that ball cleanly that they get the runner. Been close.
I agree with that. No, I think it's a base hit. Anthony looking up prematurely, and Samardzija with that little leap, that low hurdle leap around Rizzo, avoiding what could have been an injury.
So now the Giants with Blanco at first, 2 outs, scoreless game, and here's Scudero. Time called by the runner after that headlong slide into first base.
Generally speaking, in baseball, you don't bunt with 2 strikes or with 2 outs and nobody on unless you're going to try to steal the bag. Then you could turn a single into a double. So if Blanco tries to run here, the bunt was successful. Otherwise, you don't want to play station to station by bunting with 2 outs in an inning.
Samardzija thinking along those same lines. Scudero bounced out to the shortstop Castro his first time up. His first 7 games, Scudero, one of the postseason heroes, NLCS MVP, had just 3 hits in the first week. And now all of a sudden 7 hits in his last 4 games.
Who would have thought that when Brian Sabian obtained Scudero from the Colorado Rockies last July 27th, that he would have been a big difference in whether the Giants make it to the postseason or not.
Spent 8 years as a professional before finally becoming a full-time starter in the major leagues. They signed him to a 3-year deal, 38 years old.
Lightning in a Venezuelan bottle.
Indeed. There's been a lot of that through the years.
Oh, yeah.
Scudero playing for 6 big league franchises, countless stints in his homeland of Venezuela during the winter leagues. Good breaking ball in there, strike. And after he came over, he hit .362 after that deal from Colorado. You're right. Who would have thunk it? That one will sneak into center field, a hit. And throwing on the brakes after a hard turn is Blanco. So the Giants with 2-out singles, a bunt hit by Blanco. Scudero a single in the center, and here comes Sandoval. Sandoval, a team best 9 runs batted in. 6 of the 9 have come on base hits with runners in scoring position, where he's 5 out of 10.
Best way to pitch Sandoval is to throwing pitches that look like strikes and aren't. One of the freest swingers in the National League, particularly with runners in scoring position.
A lot of off-speed stuff here today from Samardzija. His last start, that fastball, he was throwing so hard that day against Atlanta. Not hitting, but pitching at 97 miles per hour pretty much through his almost 6 innings and 13 strikeouts. But a lot of that off-speed stuff here in the early going today.
That's an example, though, of Sandoval. Even though he's in a hitter's count with 2-0 the count, He goes after a bad ball. You don't have to throw him a strike to get him out. But it's got to look like a strike. And that pitch didn't look like a strike. Neither did the first one. When to challenge and when to tease. Too far outside.
So now 3-1 with Posey in the on-deck circle. Another off-speed pitch again that looked like a strike, as you point out, Tim McCarver, and it's fouled away, full count. Lights are turned on here at Wrigley Field. We're in the top of the third inning. The second Saturday of the 2013 Major League Baseball season. 25th pitch of the inning for Samardzija, who's only retired one batter in the inning. But there are two men out. The runners get started. Sandoval waits. Slow tapper down to third. Lillibridge there. And the inning is over. So perhaps the biggest play in the inning was the pitch that got away.
Yeah.
And they cut down the pitcher. Just completed with a Giant stranding two. So now the bottom of the inning and the top of the order is Dave Chappelle. He led off the Chicago first inning with a single into center field and looks at a strike here in the third. Madison Bumgarner pitching out of second and third. Nobody out in the second inning, getting strikeouts of Castillo and Lillibridge, and then got the pitcher on a ground ball out with the bases loaded.
We had a shot of Hunter Pence with the glasses on top of his cap, and it's very difficult when the sun plays peekaboo with the outfielders whether to put the sunglasses on or whether to leave them on top of your cap. Blanco on top of your cap, and Torres doesn't have sunglasses. But it's tough.
I've always wondered, and Blanco is not the only one, but I've always wondered about, you know, either wearing them on the back of your hat like that, or when you're wearing them upside down on the top of your cap.
I've never quite understood that either. I'm not even sure it, you know, some guys just style when they do that. I'm not even sure it looks better than the other way.
Chappelle gone swinging. That's 3 of them in the game from Madison Bumgarner.
But it is tough when that sun is in and out and in and out. What to do with the glasses? But the reason I bring that up, at right field at Wrigley Field is as tough to play as right field at Candlestick Park in San Francisco used to be. There are a lot of adventures in right field through the years. Jose Cardinal told me that was the toughest right field he had ever played. 16-year veteran in the major leagues.
Boy, old Candlestick Park.
Oh, gosh. Nobody misses that place. Nobody. I guarantee you nobody in San Francisco misses that place.
No, they just say that now for Jim Harbaugh and the Niners.
Yeah, right.
They did all right. 2-0 to Starlin Castro. He bounced into a ground ball double play his first time up.
Of course, the 49ers are playing in Santa Clara now, right? Or next year?
Another year, yeah.
Another year?
Yep.
Building a new home there. But Candlestick is a tough place to play baseball. Football, not as bad, but baseball, whew.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. You were there that night, the night of the earthquake. I was there that night.
Sure. October 17th, 1989 at 5:04 p.m. Terrifying.
Swinging a foul ball back out of play on Castro. 2 balls and 2 strikes. We're back to that sunglasses thing I was thinking about earlier. The only player that I see anymore that wears the old flip down shades, you know, like you guys wore,
right,
is the red center fielder Shin-Soo Choo. There's a fly ball in the center field, and Pence not needing the sunglasses there, able to corral it. 2 away, and right now let's check in back at our MLB Network studios for a game break. Here's Matt Vasgersian.
Hey, Tommy, just a few years ago, Evan Gattis was working as a handyman living in his truck. Fast forward to today, his 4th home run of the year already, first allowed by Steven Strasburg, and the Braves are on the board first in D.C. Great story. Tom and Tim, back to you guys.
Sure is. They were writing about it frequently during spring training this year. How about that? Just goes to show you, you never know.
And the home run off Strasburg, no less. One of the finest young pitchers in the game over the last 50 years.
Gattis among all National League rookies. Already 4 home runs. Beat on a fastball is Rizzo. And this is in fair territory, and that's Sandoval. A perfect third for Bumgarner. We're scoreless in Chicago. It's the official lawn care company of Major League Baseball and by the U.S. Postal Service. Schedule your free package pickup today. Buster Posey to lead things off here in the Giants' fourth inning. Posey bounced out to second, his only time up today. We are scoreless at the end of 3. 2 hits for each team. Giants have left 3. The Cubs stranded 3 in the second inning.
Tom mentioned Buster Posey, the MVP of the National League last year, earned him a 9-year, $167 million contract. And more than anybody in baseball, certainly recently, there was less anger about his contract than I think anybody that signed a big contract in the last 10 years because of the type person he is. And how many times do you see Buster Posey go up and take 3 pitches for strike 3? Looked like a changeup from Samardzija. I don't know how you felt about that, Tom, but it seemed like people in the Bay Area, people nationally, more people said, you know what, he deserves it.
You know what, Timmy, you always ask yourself the question. There are those polarizing type of players where, you know, yeah, at the end of the day, would you want them on your team? Of course you would, but you can't stand them when they play for the other team, i.e. Pete Rose, somebody
Right.
like that going way back.
Right.
But then there are those players, and Posey is certainly one of them, at least in my opinion, where every fan of every team in Major League Baseball, they look at this guy and say, man, I want him on my team.
That is really true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In
absolutely.
every way. I want him on my team the way
Yep.
he plays, and I want him on my team the way he carries himself
Because
once he
of who
puts on clothes.
He represents the team so well. And I think that's why, you know, when he signed that big deal, nobody said, these players, you know, they're making too much money. Not a lick, because they were more inclined to say, you know, Buster Posey, he earned that.
Check swing and a miss. And Pence is out of there on strikes. That's 4 of them. Well, Buster Posey, I mean, he started talk a career. National League Rookie of the Year, won the World Series, a horrific injury on the play at home plate in 2011. Came back last year, league MVP, won a batting title, comeback player of the year. The only catcher in Major League history to win 2 World Series, an MVP, and a batting title, and he's done that in the last 3 years, the last 2 years where he's played the whole season.
Now, those are credentials.
Oh, indeed. He went back to, he's a native of Georgia, went back and spent time with his wife and his children during the entire offseason. Still works out with his dad regularly, very close with his family. Good for him. In the air, short right. And that's all. That's the most impressive inning of the afternoon for Jeff Samardzija. Scoreless after 3.5. Presented by Chevrolet. We're at Wrigley Field in Chicago. No score as it comes back in the bottom half of the fourth inning. 4, 5, and 6 in their order against Madison Bumgarner. And Alfonso Soriano hooks it just foul up the third baseline. Soriano singled into right. Stole a base, wound up stranded at third, back in the second inning.
I'm sure Sandoval glad he didn't touch that ball. If he touched it, it would have been in fair territory, and that would have been a double instead of just a foul ball.
Well, he didn't miss it by much.
No.
Ball hit so hard. Breaking ball down low. Kind enough to join us from the Cubs dugout. Part of their rotation again this season. Just turned 26 years young. From Little Rock, Arkansas, Travis Wood. Travis, how are you?
Doing good. How are y'all?
Now, where's your jacket? You got the sweatshirt going, but where's the coat? Arkansas make you that tough? You don't need a coat in this kind of weather?
We got like 3 heaters rolling down here, so it's pretty warm in the dugout.
Very nice.
Like being in a duck blind, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Well, you were talking, Timmy. You used to go down to his home turf in Arkansas.
Yep, being from Memphis, only 120 miles away, used to duck hunt over in Arkansas all the time. And Travis does the same thing, he said.
It's best in the state, best in the world, really.
That's right.
1-2 to count on Alfonso Soriano. Hard hit ball in the left center. That'll be cut off by Torres, and that's a leadoff single for a second time today by Soriano. And well, Travis, you came over last year. You had some just unbelievable seasons coming up through the Reds organization, a team that originally drafted you in the second round a number of years ago, and you came over in the big trade for Sean Marshall. Do you feel like you finally have your feet on the ground here after one season with the Cubs?
I do. I feel, very welcoming last year, and, I didn't know a whole lot of people, so it was a learning experience getting to know all the guys and coaches and, how they ran things over here. But this year, being the second year, I feel right at home and ready to get going.
That first trade can be very emotional. Was that the case with you last year, Travis?
No, just because I know I've had some buddies been traded, so I know it's just part of the game, and I saw who it was for, so that couldn't be a bad thing. Because Sean Marshall's a great pitcher, so
right.
Obviously they wanted me, and so I just tried to come over here last year and do all I could. Fortunately, I wasn't able to do what I thought I should have, but it's a new year, and we're going to get after it.
Well, Travis, we were talking in between innings. Oftentimes the one-loss record of a starting pitcher, there's so many variables. How much offense, what's your defense. You throw 156 innings last year. You only give up 133 hits. And I know you felt like sometime your command wasn't as good as you would like it to be. But you're off to a very, very good start so far this year.
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to, carry over last year and had a good spring and worked on some stuff. And, been fortunate enough these last 2 starts to have pretty good solid outings and keep the team in it, and we end up winning the games.
That ball is hit hard down the left field line, but it's foul. You look at this team, and obviously there aren't a lot of people that feel like it's significantly better than a year ago, but I tell you, at least through the first 2 weeks of the season, you can't ask for much better than you guys have done in your starting rotation.
Yeah, our rotation has been outstanding. We got good guys with Jackson, Samardzija, Villanueva, Feldman, and myself. But, we're trying to do all we can, keep the team in it. And, we're going to end up putting up some runs because I do think the team is better than it was last year. Guys like Harrison that's up right now, and Soriano's always going to do his thing. Shearholtz has been amazing. So, I think our lineup is definitely more threatening this year than it was in the past.
Travis, during the offseason, you have spent a number of off seasons. I shouldn't just say last year, but virtually every day during the winter down in Arkansas, you were working out with Cliff Lee. What an outstanding pitcher he has been for a long, long time. What kinds of things have you learned from him working out during the offseason?
He's got an outstanding work ethic. It doesn't matter what we have planned or what he has planned. He's always getting it in, even if he calls me up and wants to go hunting. We'll drive 2 hours and go hunting. But that night, if we drive back, we're working out that night. And, that's something that he has taught me to, it doesn't matter what you do, you got to get your work in.
Force out at second base, 1 out in the inning. So 1 out and 1 on for Wellington Castillo. We were talking a little while ago, Jeff Samardzija with the pitcher at the plate, threw him a 3-2 breaking ball, and I was asking Tim McCarver, who caught for the better part of 4 decades in the big leagues. When it comes from one pitcher to another pitcher, do you guys talk about specific things that you can learn from? Because your pitching styles are pretty similar. He might throw a little bit harder than you do, but both of you have a similar style.
Well, you talk about a few things, and you know, you try to take what you think you need, and you know, try to bounce ideas off each other. But for the most part, it's just, you know, bouncing ideas off each other, and you know, filling each other out to figure out, you know, how you can gain something from it.
Travis, through my experience, I found out that left-handed pitchers are so totally different from right-handers that rarely can they learn from each other. Do you find that to be the truth, or no?
For me, no, just because, you know, Samardzija's a great pitcher, and, you know, all of them are, and you never know where you're going to get that piece of information, whether it's, you know, what he did in the situation, or just maybe his mindset of what he went about, how he went about the situation.
Throw over to first and sending the runner back. Travis, we want to thank you for taking the time to join us here today. I know we ask a lot for you to join us down at the dugout, so we say thank you very much, and we wish you all the best this season.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Travis.
Travis Wood already off to a 1-0 start. 12 innings, has allowed 8 hits and only 2 earned runs. League batting 182. Tell you, I saw Travis Wood come to the big leagues when he came up with the Reds, and I know that they had a mighty hard time trading that young man, but they got what they felt they needed, and it turned out to be a great deal for the Reds, and the Cubs still believe it's going to be a good deal for them. One and one on Castillo. Sandoval, nice pick to start the inning-ending double play, and we march on to the 5th. Cubs and the Giants in a scoreless game. And 3 men left on base for the Giants. No runs, 3 hits, and 3 stranded by the Cubs. Torres to lead things off. 7, 8, 9 in the batting order. Samardzija's not been a starter for very long. We talked about that already, but I got to tell you, in the handful of starts I've already seen him make, he has thrown more off-speed pitches in this game than I have seen him throw in any single game combined. A lot of breaking balls, a lot of change-ups to this Giant batting order.
Yeah, he threw the slider and walked Madison Bumgarner's last time up. He's throwing a lot of breaking balls to left-handed batters, which is unusual. There was another relying on his slider instead of his fastball. Now, sometimes a pitcher goes out there and a guy who normally throws it 95, 96 is only throwing it 91, 92. But I know your point.
Shot into left field on a 1-2 pitch, and this will roll to the wall.
And your point is you got to stay with your fastball. And I agree with that. You can't get away from your strength. Another slider right there, and Torres takes advantage of it with an extra base hit to left center field to lead off the 5th inning.
So now the number 8 hitter will be Brandon Crawford. He struck out his first time up. 4th hit of the game for the Giants against Samardzija.
Here's a situation where you're not looking to move the runner from second to third. You got the pitcher on deck. You're looking to drive him in yourself. Hear that a lot. A guy on second, nobody out. You try to move him to third. Not here.
Well, this won't get the job done either way. You're not going to drive him in, and at least he won't even advance on a ground out. So now the pitcher, Bumgarner. He walked, and then on a pitch up and away to the left-handed batting Gregor Blanco, he took off for second base, and Wellington Castillo easily threw him out. It turned out to be a huge play in the inning because Blanco had a bunt hit. Scudero followed with a single, which would have plated a run, and Bumgarner just gone to second base the regular way.
Yeah, that's the biggest play for the Giants offensively. The biggest play for the Cubs offensively. Soriano not being able to score after stealing third base and being there with nobody out. 2 straight strikeouts, and Bumgarner got out of it. Soriano so far has had a good game with really nothing to show for it. 2 for 2, and nobody, of course, has plated a run yet.
Get a look ahead of Fox Saturday Baseball next week. Where are you next week, Mr. McCarthy?
Nationals and Mets. First time that I will ever see Bryce Harper. I've never done a Nationals game.
Wow.
So I'm really looking forward to that.
Well, the Nationals are going to be on Fox. That would make it, what, 3 weeks in a row? They're on today, they're on next week, and then the following weekend they will be on against the Cincinnati Reds as they go to the nation's capital for a 4-game series.
I've got a feeling you might be doing that game.
I have a feeling I am as well. Straight up. Two out.
Today, you're watching baseball. But tonight, things heat up in Texas with NASCAR on Fox. Side-by-side racing, aggressive driving, late race drama. Yeah, in other words, just another Saturday night in Texas. It's NASCAR on Fox, live from Texas Motor Speedway.
How about that?
Friday night lights and Saturday night NASCAR.
Tell you what, you better be an aggressive driver getting out of Wrigleyville after a normal day game. You better be ready to roll, brother, or you're going to be sitting for a while. I did that dog and pony show for 6 years trying to get out of this neighborhood. You better be ready. Leadoff double, and now Torres still there with 2 outs in the inning, and a salt bleeder into right. They're going to wave the runner around, and here comes a throw. Not going to be in time. Throw to second, and the tag made by Castro to win the inning.
We're going to look at that again next inning, before the next inning, but that's got to be the shortest cutoff man in the history of the game. He almost handed it to him.
by Lowe's. Lowe's never stop improving.
Tommy, you and I were talking about it between innings. That was not a good base running play by Gregor Blanco. You might say, well, you're exchanging an out for a run. But the fact of the matter is Torres on at second base. He can run. He scores easily. But watch this cutoff. It's almost in the outfield. As we were kidding, going to break, he almost handed the ball to him instead of throwing it to him.
That's like a screen pass in football there.
Yeah, right. Good.
And it feels like the Bears should be playing the Niners today. Swing and a miss. Lillibridge, a big out for Bumgarner. One of two in a row with runners at second and third and nobody out. Back in the second inning. The fan Castillo did the same thing to Lillibridge. Of course, this giant pitching staff, spectacular again last year, under the guidance of a guy who really did it all in the major leagues on the mound, and that's Dave Righetti. As a starter, so good with the Yankees. Once threw a no-hitter on the 4th of July. And of course, as a reliever, became an outstanding closer. And has worked with this entire group since they came to the big leagues. In the air to left center field, and Dave Righetti kind enough to join us, and one would assume the voice of a starter, the voice of a reliever, certainly has to help a pitching coach talk to anybody on his staff, right?
I hope so. I like to think I have some knowledge there, and playing with guys like Tommy John and Gaylord Perry and Louis Tiant, people like that, Jim Cott, of course, and you know, if you don't learn something from those guys, you know, you didn't do your job as a ball player.
David, you look at your pitching staff, and quickly you got to feel very good, at least health-wise, where you are and where potentially you could be yet again this year.
Without a doubt. You hear health all the time, but it's true. And pitchers these days, it seems like guys are going down like flies. So, yeah, when you're healthy, you knock on wood, you appreciate it, and you take advantage of it by, you know, the guys doing something with it when they're healthy.
David, thanks for the time. All the best of luck.
I appreciate it, fellas. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
You've known Dave Righetti a long time, Tim McCarver. Check swing, and that is a fair ball. And Bumgarner will tag out Gonzalez. 2 away.
Or he just ate Gonzalez up with that cutting fastball in on the hands. Those are maddening outs when you do that as a hitter, because you had nothing to do with it. And on the handle, good pitch from Bumgarner, and Gonzalez couldn't get out. He couldn't get the bat out of the way of the ball. But Dave Righetti, to me, because he was such a successful starter, such a successful closer, you think of the adaptability in talking to the Giant pitchers. He could talk to the starters with respect. He could talk to the guys in the bullpen with respect. Bob Gibson, who, by the way, was honored this week in Omaha, used to talk about the pitching coach for the St. Louis Cardinals, Barney Schultz, who threw a knuckleball. And Bob would say simply, Barney, what could you tell me about pitching? You threw a knuckleball and I don't.
That's a legitimate point.
Yeah, but it is. It is. But Dave Righetti can tell a pitcher anything and be respected with his response.
You know, there aren't a lot of these young guys right now that are on this Giant staff, and there are so many young pitchers on this staff that really remember anything about or watch Dave Righetti pitch is probably a more accurate way to describe it. But tell you what, you don't have to look it up very long to start looking up some of the numbers.
You bet.
Same thing with his current staff. Chevrolet, find new roads. And sponsored by Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. We're back at Wrigley Field in Chicago, where the visiting Giants hold a 1-0 lead over Jeff Samardzija and the Cubs on this frigid Saturday afternoon in Chicago. Well, it's certainly considerably better than it was very early this morning when they had snow falling. Two, 3, and 4 in the order. Scutaro, Sandoval, Posey. Only run of the game came in the Giants' last at bat, a leadoff single by Torres, and then a 2-out run scoring single by Gregor Blanco. One and 2 on Scutaro.
A predictable game, huh? Two of the finest starters in the National League, giving up 1 run through 5 innings.
It's interesting where you have the younger man, and the younger man by nearly 3 full years, who has far more experience than the man he opposes, Samardzija, in just his second year as a starter. Base hit by Scutaro.
Boy, that is good hitting by Scutaro with 2 strikes going up the middle. Scutaro, one of the few as dangerous hitters with 2 strikes, shortening that swing, popping it back through the middle on the splitter.
Now Sandoval, the World Series MVP, hit the 3 home runs in Game 1 of the World Series last year. All the way back to the screen and advancing 90 feet is Scutaro.
You know, sometimes when you know that a hitter like Sandoval will swing at balls out of the strike zone, you get burned by a ball out of the strike zone. The splitter about 58 feet, and it gets by Castillo. Scutaro easily going to second.
Samardzija threw 10 wild pitches last year. That was tied for 3rd most in the National League. So now runner at second, nobody out. 2-0 to Sandoval. Now Sandoval a year ago during the regular year only played in 108 games, his lowest total since becoming a regular. Had hamstring issues. They finally had to go in another time and have surgery on his hamate bone. He bangs this one into center, and this will plate the 2nd run of the afternoon for the Giants. Sandoval, a team-high 10 runs batted in. 2-0 San Francisco.
It's funny how it works. Had this ball been hit with Scutaro on at first, it might have been a double play because your second baseman's cheating towards second base. But the wild pitch moves Scutaro to second base, and now with nobody out, Sandoval's ground ball up the middle is a single and not turned into a double play. So wild pitches, that wild pitch was costly for Samardzija.
Now Posey. One and one. Posey at the plate and behind the plate a moment ago took one off the mask.
Ooh, you okay, Buster? Sure.
Rick Carapaza, the home plate umpire, kind enough to wear a microphone for us and checking in as umpires and catchers, you guys will do for one another, keeping an eye out for each other behind the plate.
Yeah, a lot of people think that those foul tips that hit the masks are that they don't hurt, but with what they're finding out about concussions nowadays, there's a revision of that. Those things, if you get enough of them, they can do some damage.
Saw a foul ball just like that one the other day. As the pitch hits Posey on an off speed, or at least ran in, but it was 91 miles per hour, so that must have got him pretty good. So 3 straight Giants have reached to begin this 6th inning.
Yeah, we saw the wild pitch on the splitter, and now this fastball hitting Buster Posey on the left elbow. Buster appears to be all right. You take it, so many foul tips back there, you don't feel like being hit with a bat in your hand is kind of doubly tough.
So now 2 on, nobody out, a run home, and activity as bodies begin to stir down in the Chicago Cubs bullpen. And now we're going to have a visit to the mound.
It's like Chris Bosio, the pitching coach for the Cubs, giving the bullpen a chance to get warm.
All right, Hunter Pence. 3 things you need to know about this Giant right fielder who came over in the trade from Philadelphia, the All-Star break last year. 30th birthday today. Happy birthday, Hunter Pence. Of course, he rides that scooter of his to AT&T Park every single day. A caveman diet.
A paleo caveman diet. Are we supposed to know what that is?
I was getting right at, you're the man of the world. I mean, you know.
Man of the world?
I'm just regular old Midwestern folks. So
a caveman diet. I mean, the bare essentials, roots. I have no idea what that means.
I'm told in my ear right now it means no processed foods whatsoever. The right-hander Bowden getting loose in the Cub bullpen. Tapper down to third. This is a processed double play here. If they can turn it, can't turn it in time.
Well, they couldn't turn it because of the throw by Lillibridge to Gonzalez. The throw was down. An infielder will try to hit the second baseman around the shoulders, but because it's on the ground, it's not turned effectively. Pence down to first base because he was on that caveman diet, that extra half step.
Tell you, when you watch him play, you'd swear he's on a caffeine-only diet. Because this guy, and Bruce Bochy was laughing about it before the game, he said, this guy, I've never seen anybody who moves around, who twitches around, who is more high energy 24/7 than Hunter Pence. He said when this guy walks out of the dugout and goes to take his first swing off a tee, he is swinging as hard and as fast as he can.
Well, I'll tell you, he is just a delightful guy, and who knows with those meetings that they had before those games last year. I mean, he became the guy to incite this Giant lineup. And you can say what you want about stuff like that, but I'll tell you, when you win like the Giants did, when Hunter Pence says, I don't want to go home, I don't want to go home, when they were down 3-1 to the Cardinals, and then come back and win 7 in a row, who's to say that there's not something to that?
Fly ball short left. This might fall in. We'll see. What a catch made by Lillibridge, colliding with his shortstop, and the runners stay put. And this is not a good sign. Hopefully Castro is all right, slow to get up.
Marvelous play by Brent Lillibridge. And if you're Sandoval, I think you got to tag up on a ball like this, because you know there's going to be a collision by the way the shortstop and third baseman are going after it. I'm not sure Sandoval could have scored, but if he is tagging up, then he's in a position to score. If the ball's dropped, but he was about a quarter of a way down the mountain, and Castro appears to be all right.
That's good.
That was a great play by Lillibridge. Great concentration.
Taken off the outside corner. Torres doubled and scored 1 inning ago. So now Samardzija really trying to limit the damage of his giant 6. It began with a single, a wild pitch, an RBI single, and a hit batter. Giants had a run in, first and second, nobody out. And now he is an out away from just 1 run scoring in the 6th inning. And that's another sign you look for from young pitchers. Jimmy, you tell me, it seems like one of the biggest problems a young pitcher will have in overcoming is the big inning. You know, things start to roll and they just fall off a cliff very early in their career, and as they get a little older, a little more savvy, a little more polished, that 4 or 5 run inning turns into a 1 run inning.
In 1962, Roger Craig, the ex-manager of the Giants, by the way, lost 24 games for the first year New York Mets that lost 120 on the year. And I remember Kenny Boyer, the captain of the Cardinals, saying when Craig went to the Cardinals during their World Championship year in 1964, someone asked him about Roger Craig, and he said he stays away from the big inning, and that's, to me, the sign of a good pitcher. It was the first time I ever heard that. But you're right. The guy who can stay away from the big inning is a guy who keeps his team in the game.
Torres is 6-man to bat. And there's strike 3 called on the inside corner. So Samardzija survives. After 5.5, Giants lead him 2-0.
Price started the season with a pair of losses, and even despite this David Ross home run, looks to be back to his Cy Young form this afternoon. 6 strikeouts over 5 innings in a 1-1 tie. How about the Braves and Nationals in D.C.? Washington down 2-0. Switch hitting second baseman Danny Espinosa gets to Tim Hudson. Evan Gattis homered earlier for Atlanta as the Braves try to improve to a Major League best 10-1. Back to Tom and Tim at Wrigley.
Looks like a beautiful day there in the nation's capital. Bright sunshine. Here, certainly a few degrees off that. But we're in the bottom of the 6th inning. 2-0. The Giants in front. Madison Bumgarner to face the top of the order. Bumgarner allowed 4 base runners the first 2 innings. He has allowed 1 base runner the last 3.
Nicknamed Mad Bum. Just a delightful guy and a great teammate. You talk to all the Giant players and they'll tell you the same thing. We talked about his small town upbringing earlier. Can fix anything.
Can he fix the weather?
Yeah, no.
All right.
Grew up, of course, on a farm and handling farm implements and the whole bit. And there's a great story about Mad Bum and the team bus in Denver. Last year, he is so effective with his hands, can fix any engine or anything like that. The team bus broke down. The Giants were going from Chicago to Denver. Team bus broke down. They actually called for a record. They were going to tow the bus, get another bus. That would have taken 2 or 3 hours. Mad Bum said, hey, no problem. Goes back, knows where the engine is, the back of the bus, right?
Sure.
Which is. And that's enough to know where to go.
You're right.
So he goes back to the end of the bus. In 15 minutes, the bus was fixed, and the team bus went on into Denver and arrived at 2 o'clock instead of 5 in the morning.
That's a great story.
So I mean, it's wonderful. It's just wonderful, and that's the type of feeling that his teammates have for him. He's just a terrific young man.
And for those of you that have never had the opportunity, and that will be the overwhelming majority that are watching this game, 99.9%. You know, when teams land in a city, just to give you an idea, you know, say you're flying as a member of the Giants from Chicago to Denver, and you get off the plane, and sitting right there on the tarmac, there will be 2 buses for a team. Generally, the way it works is on one bus, it's all the players and maybe 1 or 2 of the coaches. On the other bus, you'll have the manager, coaching staff, training staff, team broadcasters, media relations, that kind of thing. So oftentimes, if one of the buses break down, you're not going to be able to get everybody else from the second bus onto the first bus and just continue your trip to the ballpark. That's why you'd have to wait around for another bus.
Exactly. And sometimes you can imagine, particularly in the wee hours of the morning, the other bus would take several hours to get there and to get a record and carry that, and you got to get luggage off of it and all of that. So Mad Bum can do it all.
And he can definitely do it out on that bump.
You got that right.
1-2 on Castro. Struck him out. Well, members of the San Diego Padres bullpen paid tribute to anchorman Ron Burgundy during a recent visit to the MLB fan cave. Check this out.
Ow, now, brown cow.
I had ribs for lunch. That's why I'm doing this.
I look good. I mean really good.
Unique New York.
Fun fact for the kiddies. The Tony Gwynn statue outside of Petco Park is actually filled with chocolate sauce.
Check out the full video and all the latest cave happenings at MLBFanCave.com. You can follow at MLB Fan Cave on Twitter and like on Facebook. All the teams generally, when they roll into New York, National League, American League, whatever the case may be, they'll have a few members of their team pop by the fan cave.
Have you been?
I am not. I was getting ready to ask you.
I have. I've been there twice.
Really?
Yep. It's fun.
Pretty cool setup in there.
It is. It is. Fun. Fun to people watching there, but the people are not outside. They're inside.
Well, see, the great thing is now, Tim, after all you've accomplished in the Hall of Fame, you've already said that this will be your last year broadcasting on network television after an unparalleled career as an analyst.
Thank you.
Congratulations for all of that. And now you could go live in the fan cave for a year.
Yeah.
Starting next summer.
Actually do games there. Watch it. That'd be perfect.
So,
watching every game, isn't that the intent of some of the young people in the fan cave? Exactly. Watching every game.
I mean, could you imagine the publicity of the MLB fan cave if the Hall of Famer Tim McCarver were to spend a summer there? You could have your grandkids come see you. They're not too far away.
I could do that. I think I would rather take my grandchildren to the fan cave instead of have them come and visit me, with all due respect to the fan cave.
But Tim, I got to tell you, being the father of very young kids myself, I got to tell you, if Grandpa lived in the fan cave, no matter what game you did on TV, you're not going to be any cooler than living in the fan cave.
Well, that's something to ponder.
It is. You got to think about that. I'm sure you will.
Yeah, right.
I have no doubt you will be pondering that throughout most of this summer. One out and one on. Soriano's had a good day. Brought it up earlier. He has a couple of hits, both of them leading off innings. So a foul ball, a strikeout, and then a walk to Anthony Rizzo. Second walk issued by Bumgarner. The other an intentional walk.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier. Soriano appears to be locked in against Bumgarner. Single down the right field line, a single to left center. And of course, he's got the pop. He has no home runs, only one extra base hit this year. But he is a very dangerous hitter with 32 home runs last year and over 100 RBIs.
Of course, there was a lot of talk about trading Soriano. He joined the Cubs in 2007, signed that big deal. He's got 2 years left on it. But the 108 RBIs, as you mentioned, third most in the National League, the 32 home runs, and you got to bear in mind, he was 25th among all National League players in at-bats with runners in scoring position. 25th. Hunter Pence had the most of any player in the National League. 65 more such at-bats. 3-2.
That 3-1 pitch out of the strike zone, and that's the one thing about Soriano. Sometime in your haste to try to tie it, he goes out of the strike zone, and that's been the book on Soriano since he came into the major leagues. But he does have awesome power on that pitch that's down.
When it goes, and it's blasted into left field, a base hit. Making a turn and going first to third is Rizzo, so a perfect 3-for-3 afternoon for Alfonso Soriano. Bumgarner's lucky that ball didn't end up in the seats. Now quick chat at the mound. Posey with Bumgarner. It'll be Scott Hairston, who's been hit by a pitch, stole a base, and bounced into a fielder's choice. Cubs 1 of 7 in the game with runners on base, 0 for 3 in scoring position, and they bounce into a pair of double plays. There are 2 outs here in this inning. Strike 1 to Hairston. An even better look.
Then what?
Well, earlier we saw the duo with the orange hair. That's the way our day started. And believe me, we've been here for a while, so you grow a little older. to grow a little grayer. That's just age right before your very eyes. And the guy to the right, I'm not quite sure what you call that.
It's a centurion look.
You've always been a very kind soul, Tim. But that dad has said once today to that little man, he said it a dozen times. Don't ever think about that.
At least that looks warmer.
It does.
Yeah. Got to give him that.
Yeah.
Doesn't look good, but it looks warmer.
1-2 on Hairston. 2 on, 2 out. We'll do it again. So now there's a fellow that knows about fashion and warmth. That's a good look.
That's a practical look.
Yes, it is.
So is that.
No, that's a look of misery. '25th pitch of the inning. The Cubs have had such a hard time scoring the early part of this year. I mean, this game is almost a microcosm of the first 2 weeks. They've got an excellent starting pitcher and just not much offense. Can they break through and get a big 2-out hit?
From a guy who hits left-handers very well, Scott Hairston.
That's what we're talking about so far this year in virtually every category. A slow beginning offensively for this Cubs team. This will be the 8th pitch in this at bat. They're on the corners with 2 away. Short left field. A late break, but able to recover is Torres, and that's all. 2 more stranded. We go to the 7th. 2-0 Giants. Presented by Chevrolet. Tom Brenneman alongside the Hall of Famer Tim McCarver. We are back at Wrigley Field under bright sunshine as we move along into this Saturday afternoon, and Michael Bowden takes over on the mound. He's thrown the ball well so far for the Cubs.
Picked up from Boston last year in the Marlon Byrd trade. Marlon Byrd, by the way, is now with the New York Mets, who scored 16 runs last night in Minnesota. Interleague play starting at the beginning of the season this year, and I'll tell you, I like that.
Yeah.
Tom, if you're going to have interleague play, have it throughout the year instead of just a certain segment of the year, as has been the case for the last 10 years or so in Major League Baseball.
0-2 on Brandon Crawford. Fouled off out of play. Now it's time for the Just for Men auto stop foolproof stat. Just as the Giants and the Cubs have counted on Bumgarner and Samardzija, you can count on Just for Men auto stop for foolproof results. Bumgarner, 4 hits, no runs. Samardzija's day is over. 7 hits, 2 earned runs. And no action in the Giant bullpen, so at least the 7th belongs to Bumgarner. Yeah, interleague play beginning on opening day this year. Of course, baseball's oldest franchise is in Cincinnati, where they played the first professional game. They also played the first ever night game, did the Reds.
1939.
So I guess it was destined to be that the Reds would play the first ever interleague opening day game. And that was against the LA Angels of Anaheim. Slow roller. Castro's got it. And Crawford beat it out.
Brandon was smelling a hit on that. He really busted it down the line. And once that ball got by Bowden, who tried to barehand it, then the throw by Castro is late at first base. Good call by Jeff Nelson.
So now, most assuredly, they're going to ask Bumgarner to advance a runner with a bunt. You know, Timmy, you brought up the name earlier, Bob Gibson, and I know you had a chance to, just this past week, spend a lot of time around your former teammate, Werner Park in Omaha, the home of the Royals AAA affiliate, the Storm Chasers.
Omaha Storm Chasers. And the unveiling of the Gibson statue on Thursday late morning, about 11:30, and present were dignitaries from Omaha, including Warren Buffett, who has been friends with Bob for 50 years. The commissioner of baseball, Bud Selig, was there. Bill DeWitt, the CEO of the St. Louis Cardinals. And it was really well done. I mean, it could not have been done any better. A big dinner on Wednesday night. Bob Gibson with it's hard to believe, not that he won 251 games, but that he lost 179. And I told him that was my fault.
And I'm sure he gladly handed it off to you, right?
And you know, the guy, Bill White, a former teammate, former National League president. Joe Torre was there. But Bill White, the first African-American broadcaster, the first African-American league president. And I don't think Bill White has ever gotten the credit that he is due for what he did in 1961 in spring training. Keep in mind that was 14 years after Jackie Robinson in 1947. And the black players were not allowed to stay with the white players in Florida because of Jim Crow laws. Well, Bill White said, you know, I don't understand it. We go out and we try to win games with the white players, and we can't stay at the same place as they. So the brewery, Anheuser-Busch owned the team at the time, bought a hotel in St. Petersburg, and solved that problem.
Wow. Throw to second. That is a poor decision by the youngster Rizzo.
Oh, boy.
He had no chance of getting the runner Crawford at second base, and now there's 2 on with none out.
Well, you know, when you think about it, Brandon Crawford just beat out an infield hit. So that shows he can run fairly well, and he can. And the throw to second, not nearly in time, dropped by Castro. But now instead of second with 1 out, it's first and second and nobody out. But I've always thought that Bill White never deserved the credit for being the front man for the African-American players with the Cardinals to change that whole thing. And he did it as much as Jackie Robinson did it 14 years earlier.
Good man, Bill White.
Yes, sir.
Good man. Now the bunt, and they're going to third. And this time they get the runner.
A very nice play by Bowden and a good call by Castillo. That's a catcher's call because the pitcher has his back to the play. He wheeled and threw immediately to get Crawford.
So now Scudero with 2 on. Giants already leading 2-0. We are in the 7th inning. So pitcher Bumgarner out there running at second base.
Back Bill White, we talked about him being the National League president, first African-American broadcaster, broadcast with the Yankees. He broadcast the Bucky Dent home run in 1978 in the 163rd game of the season. And he initially signed with the San Francisco Giants.
Did he really?
Back in 1953. Yep. Traded to the Cardinals in 1958. But again, because of what he did in 1961, deserves a lot more credit than he has received.
Down the right field line, and that's a base hit. Bumgarner is going to be waved around by Tim Flannery, and the Cubs miss a cutoff man by 30 feet. Madison Bumgarner should have been thrown out by 20 feet at home. And a throw from right field nowhere near the cutoff man.
Bumgarner delayed at second base. You said the pitcher was running, and of course that was the case. This throw by Scott Hairston is in no man's land. Not to the cutoff man or anybody. Not that he should have seen Bumgarner delay at second base, but that's exactly what happened. That was a horrible defensive play right there by the Cubs.
So 3-0 Giants, and looking to add to it with 2 on and 1 out. And the heart of the order coming up now, Sandoval.
This was in Omaha Thursday afternoon, actually Thursday morning. That's the statue of Bob Gibson, his hometown of Omaha, the commissioner of baseball. Bud Selig was there.
Double play here, and that will end the inning.
And as in Omaha, all's well that ends well.
Indeed. Bumgarner will get the ball now, stake to a 3-0 lead. the official lawn care company of Major League Baseball, and by Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. Great times are waiting. Grab some Buds. Cubs come to bat last of the 7th inning, trailing Madison Bumgarner and the Giants 3-0. Bumgarner working on a 4-hitter. Strike one on the outside corner to Wellington Castillo, be followed by Lillibridge and Gonzalez. Cubs have only had a couple of innings where they posed a threat. They had a serious threat against Bumgarner back in the 2nd inning. Had runners at 2nd and 3rd with nobody out and could not score. Bumgarner struck out Castillo, struck out Lillibridge, and after an intentional walk to the number 8 batter, they got the pitcher some margin, and the Cubs left him loaded. They stranded 2 in the 6th. Celebrate the craft of baseball. For your chance to win a Chevrolet Impala and a trip to the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, just visit Chevy.com. Mentioned Koji Fujikama, their closer, who blew a save chance yesterday, just became the closer when Carlos Marmol lost his job after giving up home runs to BJ and Justin Upton in Atlanta over a week ago. Fujikawa going on the disabled list before the game, and naturally the question that I'm sure Dale Swain feels like never ends, the question of who's your closer going back to last year. He said they're just going to match up, and he's not going to give the ball back to that man, Carlos Marmol. At least not right now. He said we have a game plan for him. We're going to have him pitch, but not in that closer's role, injury or not. And we want to execute that game plan and get him right again.
And getting Marmol right again is getting him on top of the slider. When he throws on top of the slider goes down. It's a very simple thing. But when that right arm is connected to the mind, a lot of times there's so much criticism. Big contract that he signed a couple of years ago. And he gets under that slider, and that's when it's very, very hittable.
Strike 3 called on a 3-2 pitch. And Castillo has words with Vic Carapazza, the home plate umpire.
That's the one thing about a catcher. He thought it was outside. It may have been outside, but Bumgarner got the call. But when you're a catcher, you can't argue that much with a home plate umpire because you realize you have to go back out there and perhaps get a similar pitch, call a strike for your guy.
6 strikeouts in the game now for Bumgarner. 2 in the 2nd, 1 in the 3rd, 1 in the 5th, another in the 6th, and now his 6th in the 7th. See his numbers outside of the best pitcher's ballpark perhaps in baseball, so he's been even better on the road. First time all day, a few bodies beginning to move around, a couple of guys beginning to stretch out in a giant bullpen. Now their closer, you got to wonder if they're going to bring him back out today should they need him, that being Sergio Romo. He's pitched in 4 of the last 5 games.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Jeremy Affeldt. Romo blowing his first save yesterday, the loser here in the 9th inning.
I think Sean Marshall, the left-hander for the Cincinnati Reds, who used to pitch for the Cubs, and Jeremy Affeldt are two of the most underrated left-handed relievers in the National League. The value to their team or their teams tremendously underrated.
Ball in the air, left center field, and there to track it, Polanco. 2 out. Well, Major League Baseball and People Magazine are looking to salute our nation's veterans and military service members. 30 veterans and military service members, one to represent each Major League Baseball team, will be recognized at the 2013 Major League Baseball All-Star Game in New York. To nominate, go to tributeforheroes.com. We thank all of those who have served, are serving, those that will serve in the United States military. Affeldt healthy and pitching. You brought up the name Sean Marshall. He's only made 1 appearance this year after suffering from what they're calling shoulder fatigue. And that has been a substantial hit to what was by far the #1 bullpen in baseball a year ago in Cincinnati. 1-1 to Gonzalez. Into right field, a base hit. So he has a 2-out single. And Deoner Navarro, who tied the game with a home run off Sergio Romo in the 9th inning yesterday, will come up and bat for Michael Bowden.
First pinch hit home run of his career, as Navarro ties it in the bottom of the 9th, and that game won by Starlin Castro's double, driving in David DeJesus.
Navarro's a guy who stayed with it. You know, he was an all-star a couple of times down in Tampa, and then really his career started to get away from him. Signed a minor league deal with the Reds and spent almost the entire year catching in AAA last year, and then came up and played very well for them the last month and a half, 2 months of the season, and it earned him a contract over the winter with the Cubs. Affeldt is ready. Sure, this will be the final inning either way for the Giants starter, just trying to get this final out. And he has a 3-run lead. Strike 1. You don't have to give Madison Bumgarner a whole lot of run support for him to win games. That ball is clobbered into deep left center field, and the lead is 1.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. His first pinch hit home run yesterday, left-handed. His second pinch hit home run today, right-handed. What a goofy game baseball is. Makes no sense whatsoever. Unbelievable.
Well, that will be the final batter of the game for Bumgarner. He gives up the pinch hit 2-run home run. Deoner Navarro. Giants lead at 3-2. run for the second straight day off the bat of Deanna Navarro. So the Giants over the Cubs 3-2. Bumgarner 6 2/3, 6 hits, 2 runs earned. Walk 2, 1 intentionally fanned 6. And now Jeremy Affeldt takes over on the mound, facing Dave Chappelle. 1-1. Affeldt has really found a home since coming to the Giants and settled in nicely. Fly ball, right center. And that's all. So Affeldt gets a final out. But back-to-back days. How about Deanna Navarro? Left side yesterday, right side today. Now Carlos Marmol will take over on the mound. His team trailing 3-2. Marmol began the year again this year as a Cubs closer. He allowed 9th inning home runs to BJ and Justin Upton in Atlanta on the first road trip. And really lost his closer's job for long stretches in each of the last 2 years. When he throws strikes, he's among the more unhittable relievers in baseball. But he's had a very difficult time throwing strikes. Dale Swain became very upset with him last year. He felt like he threw the slider with greater frequency than at any time in his major league career. And here he's come on. The first batter he faces, he's gone 3-0.
Worst thing in baseball is to be caught in between. And right now, in my opinion, Carlos Marmol is caught in between. The slider, talked about the slider. The Boo Birds have been out at Wrigley last year, this year. 4 straight balls. He was not even close to the strike zone in any of those pitches to Buster Posey. And this may be his last guy with a left-hander on deck. And a left-hander warming. James Russell for the Cubs.
Marmol is such a perplexing guy. I mean, that slider nowhere near the plate. Ball one to Hunter Pence. I mean, you just look at last year alone, and it's really been a story the last couple of years. Is again, they're going to say, hang on a minute. Chris Bosio will come out. He lost his job in the first half of last year, an ERA of almost 6. Then over the second half of the year, his ERA was at 1.5, and he saved 12 games.
I think Dale Swain deserves a lot of credit in his handling of Marmol to get him back to where his confidence was such that he could save games in the second half of last year. But just watching him and talking to Chris Bosio briefly, to matter if he stays on top of the slider, it goes down. If he gets under it, it stays up. But now he is just caught in between. 5 straight balls here in the 8th inning. There's the slider for a strike.
Marmol has handled all of this quite graciously.
With aplomb, I agree.
He's never said anything bad about his manager, about his pitching coach, about the organization. He's never come out and said, I want out of here. You're almost doing him a favor by swinging at pitches early in a bat like that. As that one is popped up by Pence on a pitch up around his neck. One out in the inning.
Certainly Pence helping Marmol out, swinging at that high slider there. That was a shoulder high slider, not close to the strike zone. Here it is one more time. And Pence helping Marmol out. And that kept him in the game, too, because if Pence gets on, you know the left-hander would be in to pitch to Belt.
There's one. And safe on the return throw. Belt able to beat it out.
Credit Brandon Belt for getting down the line in a hurry. And he beat the throw. Good call once again by Jeff Nelson, the first base umpire.
So 2 away in the inning. And now he'll face Andres Torres with a runner at first. We're in the top of the 8th inning, and the Giants lead by a run, and there's strike one. Oh, and 2. That's good morning, good afternoon, and good night with a good hard-breaking slider down and into the left-handed batter. So, Castro, Rizzo, Soriano coming up. Cubs down a run. Find new roads, and sponsored by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. Cubs bat, home half of the 8th inning. Jeremy Affeldt on the mound. He got the final out in the 7th inning in relief of Madison Bumgarner. And now trying to go through the heart of the Cub batting order, and it starts with a bang into center field off the bat of Castro. So the tying run comes to the plate in the form of Anthony Rizzo. Drafted originally in 2007 by Boston, overcame Hodgkin lymphoma a year later in 2010 to the Padres in the Adrian Gonzalez deal. Then Theo Epstein got him back here after originally drafting him in Boston, and played for the surprising Italy team of the WBC Classic. Theo and Jed Hoyer liked what they saw from this young man going way back, and now they have him for really, in essence, for Hoyer anyway, for a 3rd time.
Yeah, that's right. Jed Hoyer formerly with the San Diego Padres, but they told him when they traded him the first time, we will get you back, and they did. True to their words. They didn't realize they'd be with the Cubs at the time.
No. You got to wonder, with Theo Epstein leaving Boston, coming here, it did not end well necessarily in Boston. I mean, the whole thing did not end well for him. It didn't end well for Terry Francona. It didn't end well for the Boston ownership or the Boston fans.
No one concerned did it end well. No.
After a magical ride.
Oh.
Breaking ball almost hit him. 1-2 on Rizzo, and now Epstein faces an enormous undertaking of turning around this franchise.
And getting the farm system right and developing players.
And you're not spending the kind of money, at least around here right now, that they were spending in Boston.
No. A lot of the money being spent now for the Cubs organization will be spent on the ballpark.
Yep.
And the surrounding area.
All the talk about a deal upwards of anywhere from $300 million to $500 million. Renovations, scoreboard, clubhouses, and what's left over at the end of the day for the product on the field.
Mm-hmm. That's well put and absolutely true.
And that's the thing, when you're the general manager of a big market team, and make no mistake, the Cubs are a big market team. This is Chicago, but I mean, when you're the Yankees in Boston, you are spending a pile of money, and you can cover up for a lot of bad mistakes through money. When all of a sudden you have to navigate your way through far less spending on top of all that player development, boy, this is going to be a big task for Theo Epstein and the Cubs.
It's a big market team with small market results. They have not won a world championship since 1908. 4 years before the Titanic sunk.
Affeldt has walked Anthony Rizzo, and that's going to be all for Affeldt. 2 on, nobody out. This will be a double switch. Santiago Casilla will come on. 8th inning with the Giants leading by a run. And now on the pitch, boy, what a valuable member of this bullpen he has become, Santiago Casilla.
A lot of people may not realize that the world champion Giants, that Santiago Casilla led the Giants in saves last year with 25. It was not Sergio Romo, the hero of the postseason, but it was Casilla. So he's in a situation right now, and as we said earlier, we do not think that Bruce Bochy will be using Romo, so he's opted for Casilla.
They told us he was going to talk to Sergio Romo, and that, you know how that goes sometimes, Tim.
Right.
Player will talk into something you may not want to do, so we'll see. Pagan enters the game, part of a double switch to play center field. He'll bat 9th. Blanco going over to left field. And now Casilla to face Alfonso Soriano, a perfect 3 for 3 today. Tying run at second, lead run at first. Nobody out. First pitch breaking ball for a strike. Giants have another left-hander. They have 3 of them down there in that bullpen. They've already used Affel. And now Javier Lopez begins to loosen.
Some teams break camp, spring training, with only one left-hander. The Yankees, for instance, this year, Boone Logan, the only left-hander in their pen. I think you have to have 2. You should have 3. All the good left-handed power hitting and the good left-handed hitters there are in the game.
1-1 to Soriano, and it's a ground ball and off the belly of Sandoval, and they get the out at first. A fortuitous bounce indeed for the Giants. It should have been a double play. Misplayed by Sandoval, but right into the hand of Brandon Crawford.
Well, that in between hop ate Sandoval up, but credit Crawford with being prepared to make the play. Couple of steps right there, bare hands it, throws him out. Well, Jeff Nelson, the first base umpire, has had 4 very difficult calls at first, and he's gotten them all right.
So now Nate Shearholtz will come up and bat. And they're going to intentionally walk him. You can understand this. You already have the go-ahead run at second base. So they're going to leave Santiago Casilla in the game to face a right-handed batting Wellington Casilla, rather than bring in the left-hander Lopez to face him. Shearholtz, of course, spent a number of years with the Giants, including the beginning of last season before he went to Philadelphia in the Hunter Pence trade. And when the Giants left to come on this road trip, Bruce Bochy brought Nate Shearholtz's World Series ring with him to present it to his former right fielder / occasional first baseman, and gave it to him before the game today. Very nice.
Talk about a nice thing.
There are a lot of people like myself that would use that ring to try and get in shape and do a little weightlifting. Having taken a look at one of those before the game today.
It does make the fingers stronger.
Golly day. All right, they're loaded. Casilla against Castillo. 1-run game, bases loaded. Double play ball here, and the Giants escape the inning. The intentional walk in front of Castillo, and the double play ends the threat. We go to the ninth. The Giants lead 3-2. Wrigley Field in Chicago. Giants in front. His father pitched in the big leagues, Jeff Russell. And here is James Russell.
Jeff Russell pitching for the Cincinnati Reds in 84 and 85. Nate Sherhold stays in the game and will be in right field.
Of course, his daddy later became a closer in Texas. Had a good career. And his son's going to have a good career.
You bet he is. We talked about underrated left-handers in the bullpen. Here's another one, James Russell.
Boy, what a huge double play off the bat of Wellington Castillo. Cubs have had a couple of prime time scoring chances in this game, and against the Giants you're generally not going to get very many of them.
Not against their pitching. The Cubs 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position today.
And the irony is they really didn't even need a hit to score either time they had the big scoring chance.
That's right.
They just needed a deep fly ball.
Sac flies are underrated in this game.
Sure are. Foul tip. Castillo, I'm sure, still stinging from that ground ball off his back.
That hurt worse than the foul tip, I'll tell you.
So our Burger King play of the game brought to you by Burger King, where taste is king. Well, it looked like he got a good pitch to hit, too.
Yeah.
Just in front of the plate. go back to the Cubs' second inning. They had second and third. Nobody out. Castillo again at the plate. That time he struck out. Brent Lillibridge had a chance. With one away, he struck out. They wound up leaving the bases loaded with a pitcher batting. Got the pinch hit home run by Deoner Navarro, who hit his first pinch hit career home run yesterday. That was from the left side. Today from the right side as they're two away in the inning. For those of you wondering, the last player to hit pinch hit home runs on back-to-back days came on May the 5th and the 6th in 2007 in Atlanta by Dodger Wilson Betterman. Remember him? He could hit.
Sure.
On May the 5th against Tim Hudson. On May the 6th off Kyle Davies.
I think Betterman injured himself on going from first to second on what looked like a routine trip to second base. I think he blew out a knee, and with the Baltimore Orioles the last week in spring training, I believe.
Strike one to Gregor Blanco. This is Casillas' game, so Tim brought it up earlier. They're going to stay away, it appears, from Sergio Romo's. Pitched in 4 of the last 5 games. He already has 6 saves this year in 7 tries. 6 saves, the league leader. So this will be Casillas' game to try and nail down for Bumgarner. And the latter third in the batting order coming up for the Cubs. Struck him out. So here we go. Bottom of the 9th. The Cubs won it in the last of the 9th yesterday. Can they do it back-to-back days? Asked to try and close it out today. Bruce Bochy wanting to give his closer Sergio Romo a day off today. They do have a left-hander, Javier Lopez, getting loose again in the bullpen. Luis Valbuena has been getting a lot of playing time down at third base, as he did after coming over last year. He will pinch hit for Lillibridge, leading off the Cub 9th. Giants in front by a run. Strike one. Well, it was yesterday, same count after the Giants had just taken the lead in the top of the ninth. Into foul territory, the wind bringing this one back and gives Sandoval credit. He made the catch, falling into the stands right against the gate area, and Sandoval has not gotten up yet. Well, you sure hope he's okay. And now
looked like he caught the ball before he made the tumble. Of course, Sandoval has been nursing that right elbow strain.
Going back to spring training.
Going back to spring training, right? It's a better shot. Wonderful play, trying to avoid the gate, and it looked like he landed on his knee. Over the little gate. You know, the one thing you can't forget was that play with Alfonso Soriano up. Nobody out, runners on at first and second. And the ball hitting off of Sandoval and to Brandon Crawford, who alertly threw the ball to first base.
You're right.
Talk about a fortune. You talked about it, Tom, and that was a very fortuitous bounce for the Giants. Then this play, Sandoval toppling into the stands. You don't know. It appears to be okay. There could be a cut on his left ankle, we understand.
Well, it's good to say he's okay.
Yeah, it is.
So now we have another pinch hitter coming up for the Cubs. It'll be David DeJesus. He is their regular center fielder.
Scored the winning run in yesterday's game on the double by Starlin Castro.
He was a nice acquisition by the Cubs.
Yeah,
not a huge name. He was a good player, guy get on base a lot in Kansas City, and came over here and was their right fielder, replacing Kosuke Fukudome last year. And then after they traded Marlon Byrd, DeJesus was moved into center. Early in the game yesterday, DeJesus clubbed his first home run of the season.
Good for a left-handed hitter right now because those flags, the wind blowing out to right field, and DeJesus, that's where his power is.
0-2. Cubs only have one player left on their bench, and he's going to have to hit next for the pitcher. Steve Clevenger, backup catcher, really can play a little bit of everywhere. He's an extremely versatile player.
Played third yesterday.
Yep.
In fact.
One and two on DeJesus. They do have Lopez. One and two the count. They had a pitch to hit right there, and he smacks the bat with his right hand, wanting to have that one back. Giants trying to make it 2 wins in the first 3 games of this series. A win would stretch their record to 8-4. Dale Swaim's team trying to avoid a 4-7 start. Went around, and there is out number 2.
Good slider, and DeJesus couldn't hold up. guess that's what Bruce Bochy is looking at right now, because technically you could bring in Javier Lopez to pitch to the left-hander because the Cubs have no more players. They're out of pinch hitters. So Clevenger would have to hit against Lopez. But Casilla is throwing so well that Bruce Bochy's saying, I think I'll stick with Santiago here.
So here we go. Cubs down to their final out. And there's ball one, up and away to Clevenger. Two teams will wrap it up tomorrow. Our producer today, Jeff Gowen. Our director, Jim Lynch. Our associate director, Wayne Wilson. Our associate producer, Andy Cavanaugh. Greg Marlowe, Chicago's very own, our technical producer. We thank our entire crew, including Tom Barbary right up here in the booth, our statistician. 1-1 the count.
Another wicked foul tip to the mask. That's the third one of the day for Buster Posey.
You know, I started to talk about earlier.
Wow.
I saw a game in St. Louis earlier this week where that same thing happened to Yadier Molina. He went to get back up like Posey did and just fell completely straight backwards on his back, and you thought, oh my.
I saw that on the MLB Network.
It was ugly, and then he got it together, and of course his manager, Nolan, is more concerned about that because for Mike Matheny, he had a couple of very dark years having to leave his career as a Major League Baseball player after numerous concussions as a catcher.
Yeah, ended his career with the San Francisco Giants, in fact. Yeah, Molina staggered like a boxer on his heels the other night. Giant fans in the ballpark.
They travel well. Two and two to count. That's all she wrote. Casilla with the save. Bumgarner the win, goes to 3-0, and Clevenger is injured. And has not moved since that swing and a miss. Reach for his back.
Yeah, the left side of Steve Clevenger. It was a foul tip. Posey holds on. The game is over. I have never seen this or the likes of this. Steve Clevenger holding the left side of his back right below the 5 in the 51. Looked like an oblique strain. I don't know, but boy. Tough day for the Cubs.
Indeed it is. Casilla, a 2-inning save to give Madison Bumgarner the win. He goes to 3-0. Timmy enjoyed it, my friend.
Me too, Tom.
Certainly our thoughts
as always.
Mr. Clevenger. For Tim McCarver, Tom Brenneman, so long. You've been watching Fox Sports, home of the 2013 World Series. Let's now go to Matt Vasgersian and Mitch Williams in the MLB Network studios. Have a great weekend, everybody.